We are back with Balancing Chaos with
Kelley
and Gretchen, and today we have our special guest,
Amy,
who is a friend of mine. We've been friends now for 10 years.
I
just realized,
that.
and I was like, that was like the best thing. Like, even though our other friend moved away, I'm so glad she left you behind. So we're going to talk today about our holiday traditions, which can be kind of our thing with me and Kelley, is that we're more alike than different. And even when it comes to holiday traditions, when you have an atheist, a Christian, and a Jew in the same room, I think you'll find that a lot of our traditions are still pretty similar across the board anyway. So,
Gretchen, what was it the other day that you said, and I agreed with you, and I've agreed with you maybe 3 times this week on something?
I don't know.
It was something kind of radical, and I said, I agree with you, Gretchen. You were a lot cracking up. I wish I could remember it. My brain is...
Was it the local store that did the creepy, offensive post?
Well, there was that. I agreed with that, but shoot, I was hoping you could remember. Well, I'll come back to it.
With you. And the other thing, too, is that I want to talk about straight up is that in our last podcast, I said how, oh my God, I just realized that Kelley is my sister, and Kelley is exactly like my sister. And so my sister messaged me this week. Did I text you that picture, Amy? Did I show that to you? I don't think you've heard this story. And she was like, Gretchen, I really think you need to just do a vision board for that edition and just do it and think positive. And I was like, oh, you listened to the episode, because the last episode was our favorite things, and it was the one with, the Oprah vision board. And I was like, oh, you listened? She's like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, I listened to like half of one. So my sister, who has an hour-long commute 2 ways, and she has an iPhone, and she has an adapter, and she can listen to anything she wants, has not listened to us. So we can shame her. Half of the HGTV episode.
Wow.
Which is the one, and that's the one where I out her for living in a bus. But anyway, maybe that's why. Maybe she got mad. But she literally sent me this thing about the vision board, and I thought for sure she had listened to it and was like, Kelley's right. You should do a vision board for this edition. Nope. Totally independent thought. And
then I could see your sister getting paranoid the same way I do with you. She was like, what? Are you a naysayer or a supporter of a vision board? And one time Gretchen and I were at a PTO meeting, and they were talking about these different ways they're going to fundraise, and I raised my hand, but I was so nervous. I was like, well, have you guys thought of the clink bags? Gretchen, do you have something against the clink bag? Because her convictions are so strong, I was nervous that I'd rub her the wrong way with the clink bag.
So then the follow-up is that then my sister messaged me this week to say, later this week, and something about her doctor recommended magnesium. I was like, well, I'll ask Kelley because I bet she has it. So I texted Kelley, I'm like, hey, Kelley, oh yeah, I take it every day. So when she comes this summer, I think I'm going to have her be a guest on our podcast, and you guys can just figure out how I fit into this whole thing, because you are exactly like my sister. It's hysterical.
That's awesome.
So anyway, that's my little postscript from the last episode. So we're recording this just a few days before Christmas, and we're in my house, and I have my Christmas tree, and I have my TV fire going, which is one of my holiday traditions. It's a fire on the TV.
Awesome. Do you get that on Netflix?
Of course. There's 7 different kinds you can choose. This is birchwood.
Oh my gosh, you have to explain to them so they understand what we're looking at here.
I think they know.
They know? Am I the only one who's never seen this?
You've never seen a TV fire?
No! I live under a rock, clearly.
So there's different editions of the... Oh, actually... I have to. There's more on Hulu. I don't know if you have Hulu,
but I don't have Hulu. No.
So this is a TV fire, and they actually have one that does orchestral Christmas carols, and we put that on Christmas morning. So we have a fire with Christmas carols, and we run this. The Y actually has this on when I leave during the day.
Wow.
And but they have this whole series of slow TV, and there's one that Amy. This is going to be a gift to you and your husband. That is.
Oh God! You can't even talk about it.
No, it is. All it is an old-fashioned wall thermostat that people keep turning up, and then someone comes and turns it down.
They have that?
Yes.
I don't know why.
Someone made money to make a video of people fighting over the thermostat quietly.
Does your husband not like the heat up? That was mine. He used to freeze me out. That's what my favorite thing's going to be about. But now I think living in the neighborhood has tremendously helped me with my heat battle, because when the first winter we lived here, we get so many more visitors than we ever had. And every single person who'd walked into our house like, oh, and we'd be like all huddled in one room. And they'd be like, are you guys doing all right? I mean, do you need some money? And then so like now we keep the heat at 68.
Ooh.
I mean, that's what it took. It took me moving to Bangor, Maine.
I actually to record, I turned off our heat pump because we're recording and it's like 0 degrees out right now, which makes the heat pump run all the time and be kind of loud. You can hear it in the podcast. So I put on our furnace, big spender. But when we first moved in here, we've replaced all the windows and stuff since. But Dave actually measured the windows and was like, I think what we should do, you know this one, is I think we should cut foam insulation panels and put them in the windows when the curtains aren't open.
Dave.
And I was like, no.
Dave.
Like, so he wanted to have these, like, that they'd be perfect, and he'd just put them in if the curtains were closed, so you'd walk by and you'd see like pink foam insulation in all of our windows to try to keep the heat in. And I was like, that's never happening.
Well, you could line it with some nice fabric or something.
No. We have the insulated blinds, which are okay, and I've also in our old apartment, which was so cold, it snowed in our bedroom, and I remember this fact for when my children are older. It was 49 degrees in our bedroom regularly. So Dave would heat up the bed he would heat up the bed with a hairdryer because he wouldn't let us have an electric, you know this one. He wouldn't let us have an electric blanket because I was like, well, it'd be warmer if we had like an electric blanket. And he's changed his mind since. But he was like, oh, sure, Gretchen, because nothing is warmer than being on fire. So instead I made heavy fleece curtains that covered all of our windows. And those actually work pretty well to keep the heat in. But heat in Maine is always going to be a discussion. You have a wood stove, which is amazing.
Our house had a fireplace when we moved in, and it's old 1961 poorly insulated house, and we had to do a bunch of work on it. But my husband finally convinced me, what was it, 3 years ago? We had this nice fireplace. We used it all the time. I loved it. And he convinced me to spend the money and buy a wood-burning fireplace insert with a glass front. So it's fabulous because I never realized or thought before of how much actual heat loss you get from a fireplace. You know, even if your flue is closed, like in Maine, it's cold enough, everything's going up there. So this blocks all of that, so you don't have any of the heat loss associated with it, but all of the benefits. Plus, it has a fan on it. So it is now actually, my husband doesn't even have to touch the thermostat because it's so hot in our house. Like, we have a small ranch kind of house, so it's all right there where the wood stove is. So everything is just boiling. It's almost like Thanksgiving with the whole family in the house and the cooking. We were all walking around in tank tops.
My friend who I refer to quite a bit, who lives in southern Maine, they have a wood fireplace, and it was hot at their house all the time. And then they come to our house, it was like the Arctic tundra.
Oh yeah, I babysat for her. I think it was last winter or the winter before. It was last winter. And she's like, oh, and her daughter goes to sleep. You say, oh, it's bedtime, and she says, oh, okay, and she rolls over and she falls asleep. And my kids still don't do that.
Yeah,
and she was like 4 at the time. So I was like, I will babysit for you anytime, because I went over. They have this fireplace roaring. Her kid falls asleep at the stroke of 8. They were out till like 10:30, and I just sat there and watched her Netflix and drank a glass of wine. I'm like, this is better than being in my own house.
I think that's actually what you said when I got home too.
I will, like, anytime. I will do it anytime. Like, sure. Oh, Amy needs some help babysitting. Gotta help a friend.
Yeah, it's so funny because it was just, you would, in our house before we got that, you would, you know, and once we had Maddie, we had to turn the heat up, right? We have a baby in the house or whatever, but you would turn the heat up and you'd still be freezing in our house, like, all the time. And now, like, we barely run any oil, and you can walk around in t-shirts and tank tops, and it's freaking awesome.
So our one holiday tradition is to have the TV fire, which is a new thing. Kelly's going to probably adopt this year.
This is a 2017 family tradition. I don't think this would be around in my day. Even my day.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a young pup.
No, of course not.
Definitely wasn't around in your day, Gretchen.
No. In my day, the TV stations turned off at midnight, which you probably don't remember. You remember that.
I remember.
They played the national anthem, and then it went to static.
Yep.
Kelly's
every day?
face just dropped every day. And then it would come back on.
Well, but there were also, like,
6 a.m., 5 a.m.
4 channels?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, you know.
And that's how it ended. That and so someone else listened and said, "Oh my God, party lines! I can't believe this. I'd never heard of a party line before." So party lines, TV like all the stations just turned off at midnight.
This is you're not even that much older than me. How old are you again?
107.
10 years? 10 years older?
I'm 42.
Oh my gosh, you're not even 10 years. 8 years older
So
than
think
me.
of all the technology. But that's
crazy.
But that's also what I say when I talk to groups is that I say, I have gone from party line to iPhone in my life. Like there's been so much technology in that time, which is pretty amazing.
Well, I remember when I want to say I was in middle school. And I was, because we were on main studies. Did you guys do main studies?
Yeah.
Okay, we did. I think that's a
Can you sing the 16 Counties song?
Thing. Yeah, of course I can.
I can't anymore. No, I mean, I remember of it, but I can't. I just can't remember
My kids
all
were fascinated when Kate was home this summer because we just sang it, and they were like, do it again. Like, how did you know that? And it's just like any kid in Maine can sing 16 counties in our state, or Cumberland and Franklin. You can't pick it up from there?
No, I really can't. I know it's sad. I'm like the only person that can't. I remember there was the song. I don't know.
All right, so
it didn't sit in your heart.
No, I guess not.
I get it. So anyway, we were on the beach. One of our trips was to the ocean. I don't remember exactly where. It doesn't matter. But we were there, and one of our teachers said, in your lifetime, you'll be able to sit on this beach and communicate with somebody anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is crazy. You're crazy. That will never happen. And it is insane. You totally can sit. This summer, I was at Sand Beach at Acadia National Park with my cell phone, emailing.
Yep.
I mean, posting on social media.
You could FaceTime with somebody from that beach, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how much technology
I always
has
think when we think about that, I always think about my grandmother, who's, 92, 93 now, and she lives in Florida. And, you think about how crazy it's been just in our life, right? So she lives in Florida, and one of the things my dad will do is send her pictures of the grandkids. But, she's not great with the computer. So he'll just upload them from his phone to the Walgreens by her house. Oh! And then calls her and is like, hey, there's pictures for you at the Walgreens. And she just goes and picks them up, which is cute, but I'm thinking, this must blow her mind.
Yeah,
right? Like, to think that how much has happened in her life, like...
Oh, yeah. Totally.
That's insane.
Well, we were talking, my siblings and I, we just went on a trip to Boston to the Celtics game, and we were talking about in the car how all our older relatives don't understand Facebook. Mm. And they'll type these hilarious messages like, hi, it's Nana from Maine. and they're like, yeah, we know. Your name is right there. We know who you are. So I came home, and we had Sarah Smiley on the podcast before. So Sarah wrote a comment on one of my pictures recently, and James's aunt, we call her the ageless wonder, because I believe she's 86. You would never know it. The woman is spry as they come. She's got like a glitter cell phone case. She out energies all of us. Anyway, she comments to Sarah, this is James's Aunt Noreen. I love your columns, read all your books. So great that you guys are friends. And I was like cracking up.
Fangirling.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, now we're going to talk about holiday
traditions. Yeah. So Kelley, you can start because you grew up Christian. So what are some of your holiday traditions that you had as a kid that you've carried on to your family?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know if we really have had cemented traditions in my family, because there's so much. My mom was a single mom, and then she'd have maybe a significant other. And then my dad who raised me, we met at 5. So his family had a lot of traditions that we kind of adopted. Like the whole month of December was you got a tree. It was tree getting. We call it like tree getting weekend, where the whole family would go cut down the tree together. And that was the first week in December. And then the second week, everyone did a house tour of everyone's trees. And then the third week was the away Christmas. So anyone who couldn't be present would get their gifts, but the whole family would come for the party. And then there was Christmas Day, which went on all day. It started at 9 with breakfast, and presents would be, 4 hours. And then we'd go to my aunt's in the afternoon. But since I have my own family now, I don't participate in all of those, and also the family, because everyone's aging. Mm-hmm. They've kind of stopped running all that. So we did do away Christmas last weekend. But with the kids and I and James, we go to church on Christmas Eve, and our church puts on like a production. It's really cool. It's a whole family. It's like an event, and they have really they have live music, but it's all like produced with. You'd love it because it's technology. I mean, I'm not saying you'd love it, but you would think it was quite impressive for a church because it is I'd say a more progressive church with the music.
With technology.
With technology, yes. Hey, I would say our pastor is. Some of the members still are not. That's what I would say about it. So anyway, it's really cool. And then this year, I guess they're putting on a kids pageant, and they run 4 services, and every service will be packed. It's probably like, I don't know how many the capacity of that church is. Probably
isn't it like a thing that a lot of there's a lot of Christians that show up?
Yeah, Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's more people there than I've ever seen on those 2 holidays.
I feel like if I read that group, I'd be like side-eyeing. I'm like, yeah. Nice to show up for the cake.
It's like the gym goers at the New Year's.
The resolution.
They're all there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't notice because the church is so big anyway. I couldn't ever recognize. There's only a handful of people I even know, which is. And then we unwrap. We let the kids unwrap one present, which we select, which is always matching pajamas and books. And that's our Christmas Eve tradition.
Cool.
Yeah.
I actually asked on Facebook too, and so one person said that they did pizza. The pizza was their Christmas Eve thing, and
Katie.
And my sister posted, and she's carried on a couple from our childhood, which is one present on Christmas Eve, which we don't like select them, but we sort of guide them. Like we don't have a specific thing. We're like, yeah, you can open that one because that one's. Like Christmas Eve level worthy.
Right. That's not the big bang.
But she does lemon bars, which is like, so it was kind of funny because I had no idea that that's what she'd done. But she has been out west for basically her whole adult life now. She's lived out west. So she has come home for a couple Christmases. Now that she has her own family, she's out there. One of our things that my parents had growing up was that we always stayed home for Christmas. We didn't travel. And I'm kind of glad, I know you're traveling for your family's Christmas, but I kind of like that. And I've always said, we are here. Anyone who wants to can join us. We will figure out a way to let you join us. And so my parents have always come here. This is the first year, and technically 43 is my 43rd Christmas, that I will not be with my parents because they are going out west to be with my sister and her family. Because my nephew's 3.5. He's kind of hitting peak Santa. My kids are on the way downhill. One is on the big kid side. The other one is, I think she's skeptical because she's pretty street smart. So I was like, no, you got to go out there and be with the preschooler for Christmas. So they're on their way. They're going to arrive actually today. They've been driving out. But this is the first year without my own parents here, which is kind of interesting. So they have always come and been here. So we're creating some new traditions and trying to soften the blow because my girls have loved having them here as well. But that's one of ours. But we do that. We have a family party with my husband's family. Usually at some point in December leading up, and so that's always a good time, and we enjoy doing that. I have made the same dessert we've been together for 17 years? Yeah, 17 years this month. So for 16 years, I have made the same exact dessert every year. It's a chocolate trifle, and it is super easy, and it is always a hit, and basically you bake. This is totally not healthy at all.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Gretchen.
My sister likes it. Okay, so I make it once a year.
I eat crap too, And
you bake a chocolate cake, just the cake box cake, and you make cooked pudding, chocolate pudding, and you get Cool Whip, and you smash up a bunch of Score bars or Heath bars, or toffee bars.
Oh, yeah.
And then you crumble up, you do it in layers. So you crumble up a layer of cake, and then you spread a layer of pudding, and then a layer of Cool Whip, and then a layer of the crunched up candy, and then you repeat that until you're out.
Oh, yeah, this has multiple names.
Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, I've had this.
Actually,
this is
you know
really
that
good.
really old lady who used to work at the grill at school?
Which one?
Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
I was describing to her. She goes, "Oh,
she doesn't work there anymore."
Oh no, she left a couple years ago, and she didn't tell me when she left, so there was no party. But anyway, she was this very old lady, had a huge white beehive, like classic. She's wonderful, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we make that at camp all the time. We call it sex in a bowl."
Yeah, see?
Can you imagine her saying that? And I was like, I don't call it that.
I bring this to a family party.
Yeah.
Gretchen's blushing, and the 80-year-old is like,
"What?
"What?"
Yeah, we love that sex in a bowl." I'm like, No, it's not sexable. It is chocolate trifle.
Yeah.
Sounds much more.
It sounds fancy.
Yes, exactly. So I always make that. And then every year I say, we make something different. And everyone says, no, bring that. So make that. And then we put on our fireplace in the morning. And we get up in the morning and the girls do stockings. And we make monkey bread, which is like another once a year kind of thing. We pick at that for breakfast. And then they open presents. And it's all, and then we kind of just hang out. And it's all pretty good. But do you do Santa?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What does your Santa have any boundaries? Because mine does.
Well, we were talking about it. I was wrapping the presents, I don't know, a couple days ago, and James came home and saw them all wrapped. And Santa has 2 different papers for each kid. So the past couple years, it's been Ninja Turtle for Cameron, even though he doesn't even watch the Ninja Turtles, but he likes the stuff. Ninja Turtle, okay. And then Paw Patrol for Maxwell. And so he came home and saw all the Ninja Turtle and Paw Patrol. He's like, Kelly, seriously, you're giving Santa a little too much credit because there's only one present from us. But the reason
I'd flip it. I do it the other way.
Well, he told me I should have. But the problem is I had bought those 2 rolls of paper. And I didn't, and I wanted to wrap the Santa should bring the stockings, right? Mm. And he's like, no, we should. And I said, that doesn't make sense. So I screwed it up myself. And he did say that we shouldn't give Santa that much credit. But you know what? Santa's getting a lot of credit this year. Because we have one present that is actually for both of them, and everything else is from Santa.
So we do it the opposite. Santa brings one present, and Santa doesn't even do stockings just because it's too convoluted to try to say that Santa does stockings for us. So they get one present from Santa. But it's always in separate paper, and it's always in paper that is ugly enough that they know I would never pick it out. Uh-huh. And then I get a metallic Sharpie. I actually have to find one, and I write like an I or a W, like very fancy on the paper.
Oh.
And they sort of sit in the middle of the floor, whereas all the presents from Mom and Dad are under the tree. And Mom only likes shiny paper, as you can see. And so obviously it couldn't be from us if it's not shiny paper, and if it's ugly Rite Aid paper, it has to be from Santa. So, and we also have ridiculously large stockings. So if we tried to say that, like, we have to fill them up with stuff, like, they're really big.
Those are big.
So we fill them up with I do a lot of practical things. I'm not much for tchotchkes and
what's a tchotchke?
Like the little like trinkets and dollar store stuff. And
no, I'm with you too.
Like birthday party goodie bag crap.
Right.
No.
Right.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I got Cameron addition and subtraction flashcards and reading.
Go Santa.
Yeah, exactly. And body wash and rhyming books.
Oh, yeah.
Totally practical.
Yeah. So, no, Jamie, not Jamie.
Amy.
We're seeing Jamie later. Amy, you're Jewish.
Yes.
So tell us about your family traditions.
Well, I feel like our family traditions have drastically shifted over the course of my life a little bit. So, and I'll try not to talk too much. Just stop me if I am. But, so, my parents both grew up outside of Boston. Both grew up Jewish. Big Jewish populations.
Which town outside of Boston?
Framingham.
Oh, okay. Ooh, Framingham. That's a heart study.
It's what?
The heart study. You ever heard of the Framingham heart risk score?
No.
Oh, it's very famous research.
Really?
And it's basically how we know all of our cardiovascular risk factors.
It's done from Framingham?
Yes.
Really?
There's a cohort in Framingham that they've actually still are following, like the descendants of the original cohort. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Okay, that's really,
I'm going to have to look that up later.
Maybe your parents are in it.
Maybe. So they ended up moving here for a job in the early 80s when I was young and, had no family here, not a very large Jewish population in this town, especially in the early 80s, of course. So, and it was one of these weird things where it seemed like the entire Jewish population of our town was on the east side. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the west side. So I literally did not have any other Jewish kids I went to school with until I hit high school and the sides of the town sort of converged. I knew other people. My parents at the time went to Temple a little bit. So I knew other very nice families who I still know in the area. But so we never really had any family around in the holidays. Favorite holiday for my mom and my grandmother was Thanksgiving. So we always really did Thanksgiving. And Hanukkah has one of those shifting dates. So it doesn't always fall over Christmas. It doesn't always fall over school vacation. So it was really like Thanksgiving was kind of big. And then Hanukkah here was just us. And we would do 8 days of presents.
Tell me about actually what happens at Hanukkah. Hanukkah.
So
I know the menorah.
Yeah. So Hanukkah is a celebration of Jews gaining their freedom. Mm-hmm. You're impressed, I know that, aren't you? And so when they had the whole thing with the menorah is when they had sort of regained their freedom and took over this destroyed temple, they had this light they would light with oil, and there was only enough to keep it lit for one day. And then miraculously, the oil kept the light lit for 8 days, which is why they celebrate for 8 days.
What happened on day 9?
What's that?
Did the light just go out?
Well, by then they had enough time to regain more oil.
Okay.
Is the story, how the story goes. So by then they were fine, and it was a miracle that it lasted that long. So that's why you light the candles. It's the Festival of Lights, one for each night.
Now, let me ask a question there. So that whole tradition. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Judaism or Jewish people. That's actually a type of nationality, and then there's like the faith intermixed into that.
Well, I've heard people say that. To me, Judaism is a religion.
Okay.
So I don't really. I guess I would have to look that up. I'm not. I know I've heard other people refer to certain, but I don't really know where that line is.
You're probably thinking of like the medical things, like when they ask you when you're pregnant, like, are you Ashkenazi?
Right.
Or whatever.
I guess.
It is. I don't know how you pronounce it.
So do they, but the lighting,
That's religious.
Do they believe that God provided the oil that lasted 8 days miraculously?
I'm not really very good at being
It's okay. I understand. I'm the same way.
Right?
When people press me on specifics, I'm like, I don't know.
And I will tell you, so like, we didn't, so what happened was, when I was a kid, I think my parents tried really hard to continue practicing Judaism in a town where their kids did not want to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, we felt, I can't speak for my siblings, but for me, I sometimes felt special, but more times than not, I felt outcasted.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, like, we had fun on Hanukkah, so I never even realized, actually, so Jewish people aren't supposed to do Santa, but I think my parents were trying to keep us feeling special and included.
Part of the culture.
Right, so we always did Santa Claus. Always had, like, my parents would split it up, so the first 5 days of Hanukkah would be, like, maybe one night was presents for them, one night was presents from the grandparents, one night, and then the last 3 nights were Santa Claus. And that's how they did it.
So wait, you did Santa even during Hanukkah?
Yeah.
They had a Jewish Santa.
Yeah. That's funny!
And I honestly, wait, but here's the kicker. I didn't know Jewish people weren't supposed to do Santa until I got to college.
No, you haven't gotten to the kicker yet. Would you like to share where you went to college?
Texas Christian University. I remember applying there. I remember telling my oldest friend, Kat, that I was going there, and she's like, wait, what? That is the last thing I expected my Jewish friend from Maine to say.
Right.
Like, well, life.
Well, you went because it was like the program, right? It was
it was the program that I went to, and I actually started college at Northeastern and transferred, and it was cheaper, and that's a different podcast story in and of itself. But, so yeah, I honestly didn't know we weren't even supposed to have Santa, because I didn't have other Jewish friends. Like, I didn't...
Okay, let me ask you this. Now, you say you feel like an outcast in the town, and
I did sometimes.
Yes. I can appreciate this because I grew up here, and I only knew of one Jewish family, and that was when I was in high school.
Yep.
And they also celebrate Christmas.
Oh,
in fact, it's my acupuncturist.
Really?
And I asked him about this yesterday. I said, and I was asking him some questions that I'm going to ask you. And he was like, have you seen my Christmas tree? And I was just cracking up. So I felt that they were very much integrated into the same culture as everyone else. But they also celebrate Hanukkah, which was cool because they got like double presents.
Yeah.
So do you think there's anything as a culture or society that we could have done or we could do differently for kids in your same position to not make them feel like they're different?
Well, I think I had some great teachers and some, great people along the way that used it to make me feel special. Mm-hmm. And so that was always really good. Like, when I was younger, my mom used to... So the other tradition we would have on Hanukkah is potato pancakes. And shout out to my mom, best potato pancakes in the world. Nobody else makes them like her. They're fabulous. So we would do that, and it was great. And so my mom would come into the schools when I was younger, and every year in my class, and teach other kids about Hanukkah, bring the dreidel, play dreidel, make potato pancakes in the class.
Yeah.
And so that was awesome because I felt like special, and I don't really think I felt so different when I was younger. Maybe I did, and I just don't remember it.
Did they still do Christmas parties and stuff like that?
Yes.
And Christmas trees in the classroom when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked at how many of my Facebook friends who live in other areas in public schools are having like these elaborate Christmas.
Well, you know, it's interesting that,
and I don't know. I like that our school district doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, we're not going to set aside time to focus on one specific religion.
Well, I think that was one of the things that I felt when I was growing up, was that Christmas is everywhere, right? Like, it is everywhere you go right now, from Halloween on, and there was no Hanukkah.
Right.
Right? Like, nobody talked about Hanukkah. There were not Hanukkah decorations in the stores. There were not, celebrations of it at school. So it's hard. It's easy to let it, I think, slip aside this time of year and sort of take the back burner. And so, yeah, when you would have, even recently, we had a friend, I think it was last year, who had posted something on Facebook about how angry she was that her son's school wouldn't let them, I don't remember what it was, talk about Jesus or wear Santa hats or something, it was something like that. And I remember saying, well,
good.
Right. Like, as somebody who, no, they're not trying to squash your Christmas spirit. Like, to me, it's just kind of like, well, there are kids there that don't celebrate Christmas. There are kids there that don't get Santa Claus. There are kids there. So,
I have to say that, so the girls' Girl Scout troop just had their holiday party, and they have at least one Jewish girl in their troop now, and Ingrid was so, like, she was like, no, they had to get like a sock exchange where they get a pair of fuzzy socks and they put little trinkets in it and share it. She was like, nope. She's like, it cannot be. Nope, that's a Santa hat. That's a reindeer. She got some snowflake socks, and she made Willa pick out snowflake socks, made sure that everything, she's like, because I don't want the girl who is not Christian to feel bad if she gets Santa, because that's not what she does. Because it's not you.
Right.
So she did that, and then they were supposed to make latkes, and they didn't, and she was so bummed, because she was like, I think I would really like a latke, like the applesauce. And
oh my God. Well, we'll do it one day. I can make them.
Yes.
We'll come over.
But they did get dreidels, and they learned how to play, and so she came home so excited, and I texted Amy, I'm like, I'm so excited that this Girl Scout troop is being so inclusive of all the religions, because now my children can fight over candy from another religion.
Right.
Because they totally were like she's like, no, and she knows like the Gimel and the Nun, and she was like, no, this is half, this is all, this is, and she played and won, and so the girls were totally fighting over their dreidel, their gelt, but Ingrid was all in, like, nope, this is totally great, and I was like, this is awesome, like, this is how you, but I see schools who, I just saw one today that there's a principal who's on the roof as Elf on the Shelf, and I'm like, great, great.
Elf on the Shelf hater.
It's interesting.
Well, and just in general, like, because it is everywhere, and because there are kids who are sitting there going, yeah, not me. Right. That's not my thing. Like, just I'm glad that our schools do not. When I was a kid, we had Christmas trees in the classroom.
Yep.
We had gift exchanges, and I remember being like, oh yeah, this is great. But now I think back, and I'm like, I'm glad that they don't do that anymore, because I would much rather have every kid not have a kid feel totally ostracized and left out than to swap 27 Lifesaver books.
Well, it was interesting to me because, so my daughter's in the pre-K program, which is actually run not by the school she goes to.
Yeah. I don't think any of the pre-Ks are actually run. Technically.
Yours is, right?
Isn't it run by Penquist still? Yeah, it is.
Ours is?
Yes. They're all run by... Because I think we do have somewhat control, but... that's why they're all capped. Like, there's no guarantee you're getting in to this.
I thought we ran around. Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway.
I'll edit the list.
Check into it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Currently, there is a law now in Maine that all schools will have to by, like, 2025 or whatever. I don't know. Well, fact check me.
So the handbook and everything says, we don't celebrate birthdays, don't bring in treats. They do actually celebrate birthdays. Like, my daughter had a birthday, but they have a box and they let the kid pick a toy out of the box, and that's
Yeah.
That's the thing. Don't send in sweets. We don't celebrate holidays. All fine, right? And then yesterday, a Christmas card comes home from the school. And it says, right? I mean, you saw the picture, right? It says, talks about Christmas gifts. And I was kind of like, yes, now my daughter celebrates both, right? But how did they know that? Mm-hmm. Why would they know that?
They never asked.
They never asked, mm-hmm. right? So why would... to me, that was presumptuous, right? Like, totally. If you say you're not gonna... And even, like, the preschool she goes to, I've known the owner for forever and a day, and when she first started there last year was her first year, and I noticed a bunch of, Christmas decorations are around, and I said, hey, just as I just want to let you know that Maddie does both. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for telling me. I have a bunch of Hanukkah stuff too. I'm bringing it in, and and so she did, and it was great. And if I had thought that the pre-K was going to address holidays, I might have just said to them, hey, just so you know, my daughter does both.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just so that was I was kind of a little...
Well, that's kind of this is the whole reason. So I asked Gretchen, do you have any Jewish friends? Because I want to have one on. Because I've never...
She was like, I do. I know why.
She was like, yeah. She's like, well, she had a Santa though. But I think I totally understand how that happened with you living here, because we must be a similar age. And I know
I'm sort of in between you two.
So I grew up here, so I know that there's a very small Jewish community. But here's the reason why I'm on this thought is because my son... Okay, so I grew up... This is a homogenous area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. In every type of diversity, basically. We don't have a lot of religious diversity. There's not a lot of racial diversity. There's diversity is very minimal here.
Right. The biggest
we have a lot of
socioeconomic.
Yeah. So we do have that. So that's how I grew up. So I didn't put a lot of thought into anything because everyone was just like me.
Right.
But when we moved to Boston, I seriously had a culture shock.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
It was very eye-opening, and I kind of became a little mad about our lack of just educating about diversity. So we moved back here with our kids, and here my little son is. He was 3 years old. He went to a preschool at the university where I work, and in the preschool is more diversity than I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's probably
it's
even
a university population,
exactly,
right?
Probably even more so than we went to Northeastern for graduate school, and that was somewhat homogenous. It was like Asians and Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's predominantly those two cultures, but they have such firm rules against holidays. They don't let them celebrate there's no discussion. You're not allowed to talk about it. They specifically send home notes, like for Halloween, do not send them in any Halloween attire. And I just feel like that's way too the other way.
I agree with you. Because I think especially kids that age it's fun, right? Yeah. So, like when I went to TCU, and there was no really religious necessarily component to my education there, other than everybody had to take one religion class. But they had religion classes in everything. Classes in Judaism and Buddhism. Right. And, I took world religion, which was just like, here's a chapter on every religion, right? So to me, I think you could do it in the middle, right? Where here, it's wintertime, here are all the different holidays.
Right.
That anybody could celebrate without necessarily emphasizing any in particular. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, hey, let's have a December party, and here's everything that happens in December. Right?
That's how I feel. I just think that I'm not this, Baptist girl who only wants my kid to know that specific line of belief. And it's not that I want the school to start teaching religion. No,
and that wasn't what I meant either. But
like, it's Maxwell's preschool now, they do Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and Christmas. And it's not deep into any of them.
Right.
But they're all covered. We went to the Christmas party last night. I mean, the holiday, it was a holiday concert. And they had 3 songs, one for each. And then they did like a kindness song, which was really sweet. And I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I want you can use it as a teaching tool. And here we are at a university. We literally had 8 kids in that class who were from 8 different countries.
Right.
And what an opportunity. I mean, I never had that as a child, to learn about all these different cultures, and all they could have done with the curriculum with that. But no, instead, they went so extreme this way. They're like, no, you know what? we're not celebrating anything, and it made me so mad that
There's no such thing as months.
Right,
Every day is a day. We're
yeah.
on day 700.
Forget it. So this year I was so mad about it. I actually decided on our Christmas card, I usually keep it very generic, like Happy Holidays and whatever. And I was like, no, you know what? I celebrate Christmas, and that's cool. I mean, we shouldn't be like, no, you can't even talk about what you celebrate. Like, that's crazy to me, because I wouldn't say that to Jewish. I would say that about Hanukkah. Like, don't send me a Happy Hanukkah card.
Right.
Like,
and I never, like, I was getting this, like, I hear these people talk about this, we're on Christmas, and you can't even say Merry Christmas to people.
Right.
And people have been saying Merry Christmas to me my entire life.
Right.
And every time my response is, thank you very much, Merry Christmas to you too.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't offend me, and every so often I get whatever, and I say, oh, thank you, Happy Hanukkah to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I walk off, but it's not, it's because it's Hanukkah, right? Like, it's not...
you're giving me your wish, I'm giving you mine.
Right, exactly.
Right, but I don't get offended.
It's like high five, low five.
Right.
That my friend who celebrates Christmas sends me a card that says...
Merry Christmas.
Right, like, great.
I want to get a Happy Hanukkah card. I wish I did.
When I did
I'll
cards,
add you to my list.
Please! I can't wait!
When I did cards, I did Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
because I'm the atheist.
You would do that, Gretchen.
Yeah.
Which
and
is fine.
And Ingrid just did cards for her teachers. Because now she's in a school where she has multiple teachers. I'm not doing any money gifts.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I said, I'll buy you a pack of cards. You can write them a nice note. And she did. And she picked them out. And she's like, you know what, Mom? I don't know what they celebrate, so I'm going to go with Season's Greetings. And she picked up this cute Season's Greetings card, wrote a nice note to all of her teachers.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what they said, so I hope it was a nice note. It might have been like, fuck you, I hate math. I don't know. But I don't think it was.
Well,
and she was going to give those out. But I feel like she was very thoughtful about it. And then, so the other thing, too, is that there was this local business who put a post up, like last week, where it was Hanukkah, and they put up a graphic that showed somebody crossed off multiple attempts at spelling Hanukkah, and they said, whatever, Merry Jewish Christmas. And it was brought to my attention. And I was like, oh man, that. And so I just posted, yikes. That's all I posted. Like, this is my gentle, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And they didn't say anything, and then I posted a link to this is why please don't say Happy Jewish Christmas, because it's not Jewish Christmas. And then they respond like, well, we just didn't know how to spell Hanukkah, so we just thought it was a funny way to say Happy Hanukkah. And I was
we like to make fun of ourselves, ha ha ha.
And I was so pissed, because I was like, okay, look in Facebook, and any business, Home Depot is like, hey, 8 days of lights, we've got lights. Like, it's all, you can look up, and second of all, it doesn't matter how you spell it. There's multiple spellings, and there's no really wrong spelling, except for if you call it Jewish Christmas. And so my third one, I actually sent Let Me Google That For You link, which is the very passive-aggressive, like, come on, go fuck yourselves. What are you doing here? I've told you 3 times that this is not right. And finally, someone else posted and said, I'm a Jewish woman, and this is actually really offensive. And then the owner made a snarky comment at me and then deleted the whole thing. But I was like, all you had to do was
they did put up an apology. Yeah, so what I thought was interesting was they were totally focused on the spelling.
Yeah.
Like, not the fact that they called it Jewish Christmas.
Right.
You know, and like that was their whole apology was about the spelling. And I was like, that was not the part of it that I thought was... Like, I can't spell it. If it weren't for spell check, I wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah.
But it is not Jewish Christmas. Christmas is the celebration of the birth of Christ.
Right.
Jews do not celebrate that.
Right.
In any fashion.
Right.
You know, so, like, that, to me, I think was way more offensive
so also, if you're somebody who is managing a business page, and somebody just says, yikes, like, take a minute and be like, wait.
Right.
Why are they making this gentle comment of... something here is really not ringing right. I was so... Well, I said, I'm the atheist, so I was joking at book club that I said, I'm the atheist, I'm the ref. So I go and be like, no, I'm blowing the whistle here. This is not okay. You need to fix it.
Yeah.